Didn't get enough of Sportswire Radio? Well, guess what? You're in luck. And boy, after what we saw just earlier, well, when this guy D Savage, who called himself a savage animal, decided, you know what, I want to wrestle in hardcore. I want to find out against guys that I want to test my skills up. And boy, he found out firsthand in what Cato and Mac 10 had to offer. And our guest tonight, well, he actually knows them pretty well. And one of those guys he's defeated, well, I'm not going to certainly get into too much, though. Maybe I will, actually, because we're live after all. And prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters. Here's Sportswire Radio. And guess Cato, the controversial one, controversially found out what our Deathmatch Daddy brings to the table. But, before I introduce the Deathmatch Daddy, I'm going to go to a comment a couple of days ago live on Sportswire Radio when there was somebody, one of my friends, one of my biggest supporters out there, Mr. DG Colt, had referred to one wrestler as my daddy. Well, DG, he wasn't my daddy, but this guy here is the Deathmatch Daddy, and I think Mickey Knuckles has found that out first. And I'll talk about that Irving legend. I'll definitely bring that up. And how about some familiar faces that have been on Sportswire? How about my friend Hardcore? Boy, before Jimmy Controversy put a syringe needle in him, Jesse Daniels got him first. How about that guy that everybody knows in this scene is JJ Escobar? I'll certainly talk about what happened. I don't know if I can play it, but I'll definitely talk about it. We'll talk about a whole list of other people he's been in the ring with, and I'll ask him about some friends of the platform. How about yesterday's guest, who he shares a locker room with, Tarzan Duran, the Tarzanian Devil.
The Tarzanian Devil, baby, one of the best.
Our guest tonight on some other people that he knows and is hobnob with. Oh, I don't know. How about Brian White, the Deathmatch Juggalo? How about this guy, Jimmy Controversy? Everybody seems to want to beat up Jimmy Controversy. I'm sure he's next on the list, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. How about also maybe I'll ask you about my friends over in Resurrection Wrestling? And how about my buddy, I don't know, Joseph Tibbs? I'm sure Joey will get a big shout out tonight. And how about a who's who of other people that you've seen our guest in the ring with? A lot of people go out there and wrestle and say, yeah, I'm a deathmatch wrestler. But actually, our guest tonight is actually a professional who's bringing professional wrestling to the deathmatch scene. And, you might have also seen our guest where, how about that Nathan Mowry video that was directed? And how about Nathan Mowry? I don't know. Does DDP know him? I don't know. Does Buff Bagwell know him? I don't know. Chris Jericho? How about the Icon Sting? And Jesse Daniels like, oh, yeah, I've stayed with him. I'm friends with him. And I'm sure I'll talk with a who's who of people with our guest tonight. And I'll also put it out here. I know our guest. Before I give him that introduction here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, Sportswire Radio. I know he does this scene all the time, and all these other podcasters have him on, and these wankers in their mom's basement who go on and want to interview him because he's a wrestler, and yeah, he's the co-host of the world's most dangerous stunt show with POR. Yeah, I'll get to that, but it's a little different here because I'm sure many of his peers and colleagues who've been on this platform will be watching this one, I'm sure, with bated breath. But since he has been here now for his first time, I must give him that introduction, especially when it comes to the likes of, I don't know, Cato and Mac 10 have gotten it, Jimmy Controversy, Tarzan Duran got it yesterday, Mikey Anarchy, Obey. I could keep going and going and going. But since he's getting ready, he's a busy man, I want to greet him the way he deserves to be greeted, in a more professional way. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce this man. And he's not quite my daddy, but we know him famously as our Deathmatch Daddy, who's a goonie that never says dies. So let me give him that introduction that he deserves in the only platform where all wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one, sports show. One of the most professional wrestlers in the deathmatch circuit. You've seen him up and down the United States of America. He's even been a podcaster in his own right. Seen him in video after video, where everybody talks about him. But now, simply put, we call him the Deathmatch Jesse Daniels.
Man, I don't know where you get your cocaine from, but I got to meet that guy.
Well, to believe it or not, I've never actually smoked any form of anything in my life. I've never drank. I can say that the pipes I probably get because my mother does sing. So I'd say probably from that. And just doing it every night, literally no joke. I know we'll formally introduce you. What boy, quite a response there. But I've probably in the last 90 days have done 150 of these shows. Some people call me the Iron Man. Some people call me, I don't know what you want to call me at this point, but thank you very much for that. And nice to meet you, Mr. Daniels. And
it's nice to meet you too, sir. I'm glad to be on here. Well, thank you for having me.
I'm happy you're here on this platform because, I know you and other guys do the podcast circuit. And, it's always, I think when people come here, it's almost like there's a letter of recommendation because, I know guys ask you, oh, can you do the Spooky Does podcast? And there's 100 million other wankers out there. But, this one's kind of, I think, has a reputation that exceeds itself because so many of your peers come here and they kind of just, shoot the breeze. They come on here and they talk about whatever they want. And I think they know that there's only one platform. I know you've done it all, but there's only one platform that's in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters. And you were a part of that. And let me say, though, it is an honor to have you here. And I want to, at the very top, thank Joseph Tibbs, because Joseph Tibbs over the past year has been one of my biggest supporters. He's always like, Tom, you got to do this. Tom, I want you to do that. I'm like, yes, Mr. Tibbs, whatever you say, I do it because he has been
whatever you say, Mr. Tibbs.
That's what I tell him all the time, that he knows it. He's probably out there listening, but he has been one of my biggest supporters. And I'm very grateful that he connected you because really on this platform, a lot of people say you have to come to Sportswire because at this point, with all due respect to people, I really don't reach out to anybody because I have so many people that swamp my inbox. But this one was like a special one because of Joseph and the relationships. I just want to give Joseph a shout out and introduce you and say, how you doing?
How you doing, brother? It's good to hear you guys. Shout out Joe Tibbs. Shout out Resurrection Pro Wrestling out in Memphis. Those are the boys. Can't wait to come back and smoke Kato's boots once more. I about lit his ass on fire last time.
I did see that. Kato and Naomi definitely felt you firsthand, and Mackie tried to kind of, I guess, pick up the pieces. But, well, that's a different conversation. But, yes, Kato and Mac did have a lot to say, but I got a chance to hear you. And, I like to start off in current events because I don't like to go and do the usual stuff. I know I have my chat. My commenters will be here shortly, but I want to talk about a couple things that happened recently. So let's talk about this weekend first. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'll put it up on YouTube. You wrestled the guy Irving Legend first this past weekend, and I'm curious about that for the audience because you kind of wrestled a different match from what some people really know you with on Sunday. And talk about that match, talk about that opponent, and if you're here for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, what was it like to wrestle a guy in Irving Legend?
So I'll say this about Irving.
Yes.
Around here. So he's been wrestling a year longer than I've been in the business.
Okay.
But in that time, he's one of those guys that just went a different direction than I did. Like his aspirations were like, TV and stuff like that. And that's, I don't, what I'm saying? People go different directions. Like guys like, a few years ago until AEW, like when Nick Gage came on AEW, there wasn't really too many deathmatch guys that had like that aspiration of like, I want to be on TV one day. You know what I mean? So the way I see it, because a lot of times in the business, people just go in different directions. Irving was that guy that was set up to be, he's going to be on, it's going to be the top or bust for him. You know what I'm saying? Like He's one of them dudes that's built for it. He's got incredible cardio. He's a tough motherfucker. He hits me the way I want to be hit in the ring. And you know what I'm saying? Not like no ginger pussy bullshit. And if you've watched any of my matches, like I be getting my ass
Yes,
beat
well, I
because
know you from one match that a lot of people know you. And obviously in Resi, I watched you and Kato because I've had Kato like a bunch of times, you know, really over the past few months. He's their hardcore champion. But, you know, I'm curious about this because I had Tarzan Duran on, and I asked Tarzan a couple of different things. And I'm curious for you, when you wrestle a guy like this, is there a different mindset versus when you wrestle, let's say, a Mickey Knuckles, which I'll show next, or even other guys in this circuit that you're known for most? Is there a different mindset you go into in a match like this?
100%. I think it's a different mindset because, and I say this to people all the time, I believe in some instances, deathmatch psychology is a little different than pro wrestling psychology sometimes. Because a lot of times a deathmatch audience, an audience that's like, let's say, desensitized to violence, for lack of a better word. When you've seen guys get hit with cars and light tubes and fucking set on fire and stuff like that, you're not going to pop for the same things that a wrestling crowd's going to pop for. You know what I'm saying? As far, because you're there for the intensity of it. You know what I mean? Now, some people are just wrestling fans and they're there to be told a story. But I believe by and large, a lot of death matches turn into like a both these guys kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to when the crowd is cheering for both of you because they know you're both violent motherfuckers that want to, you know what I'm saying, hurt each other. It's not as easy to establish like a heel and a baby face, you know what I mean, to your audience. So in a match like this, where obviously, like, you know, there's no use of weapons allowed, like it's typical wrestling rules. In my mind, I think I have a lot more to do as far as the workload of character work and getting myself over as either a heel or a face. In this instance, of course, with Irving, it was a heel. And everybody knows, obviously, like I said, I like you said earlier, I'm known for like the deathmatch, the hardcore stuff. So when I get booked at a place like this where I'm doing regular wrestling, I try to I approach it differently. You know what I mean? Because it's not typically my element. So for most of this, you can see when we're doing the technical stuff, Irving just out wrestles me because that's the real life story we can tell. I'm a hardcore brawler, weapons kind of guy. He's a technical wrestler who's in great shape. So that was the story that we told, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't a perfect match because I've watched it back since this weekend and there's things about it that I didn't like. But I will say after 10 plus years in the business, I'm still constantly learning things. Like Mickey
I'm glad
told
you
me
said that because I have a lot of guys that come here, and that's important that you said that because it doesn't matter if you had 1 day or 50 years in the business. You know, it's like anything else in life. There's always room for improvement.
Right. And just, I guess, always be open to maybe modifying what you're doing. If you want to see a change in your results, you feel me?
Sure.
And for me, my thing is I've always had like, so I feel like I can go out there and have a phenomenal hardcore match with almost anybody, you know, hardcore death match, whatever, because it's a lot easier for me to walk and talk through that kind of thing than
Well,
it
it's
is a
second
regular.
nature to you. You know, you also know, I'm sure, a lot of your peers. There's obviously a commonality, but you know, I'm curious. You know, as we're watching the match here, and I obviously also will put your YouTube link up here shortly as well. We'll hit the sub button for it. I've done it on 3 of my pages, so 3 subs to you there, my friend. But you know, this guys like you that maybe go outside. You know, Tarzan was talking yesterday more like he's not a traditional deathmatch guy, but he's explored it. But I kind of think in a way, this is kind of similar to what Jimmy Controversy, in a way, said months ago here when, you know, he maybe sometimes wants to explore occasionally matches outside the hardcore and deathmatch scene. You know, maybe that also helps you as well because, you know, you want to change it up once in a while. You know, there was always an old adage in music. If you were a fan of, you know, hard rock or heavy metal, sometimes you'd like the one slow down song, the one, you know, ballad,
Right.
because that gives you an
The thing
opportunity
that's
to change
a
things
nice
up.
change of pace.
Yeah. So I thought maybe that wrestling something like this gives you an opportunity also to show people, hey, I'm not just a one-trick pony. Because I think sometimes unfairly, and I've said this a lot with a lot of the guys that come on here, that guys get treated as one-trick ponies, but I think what you guys do so eloquently is tell stories. You guys go out there and what you do as wrestlers, and I think this gives you an opportunity to show the world on a stage that, hey, you know what? I'm not just a deathmatch daddy. Yes, you might know me from, teaming with Gary Wolf. Yes, you might know me with JJ Escobar. Yes, Mickey Knuckles, but I can do things like wrestle a guy that's, as you said, probably TV bound or at least very close to it.
Oh, so Irving Legend actually wrestled a dark match for AEW, and he worked Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw when they were sending Braun to just bulldoze through everybody. So
Oh,
like,
yes, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that run. Yes, I do. Correct.
so I'm not gonna you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna sit here and be a mark and like put his whole resume over or nothing, because he wouldn't want me to do that. We've had this conversation, but
Sure.
it's people have directions that they aspire to go to, and my eternal respect for him will be that, you know what I'm saying, at some point in his life he said, I'm going to wrestle on Monday Night Raw and I'm going to wrestle on AEW Dark, and he did both of those things, and I had the pleasure and the learning experience of being in the ring with him, and there were things about that match that definitely taught me how to function and better process things, and like, just, you can't ever stop learning, and my philosophy on it, right, as far as like you said about one trick ponies and stuff like that, I completely agree. That's one of the reasons that I do it. Another reason, though, is because I believe if you are able to survive and function the more you learn about the fundamentals of pro wrestling and just how to emotionally put a match together, the better your hardcore deathmatch stuff is going to be in the end. Because even if regular wrestling's not what you want to do at heart, knowing how to do it, and it's kind of like when you go to college, right? So like, let's say you want to go to college to be a fucking doctor or whatever, right? But they make you take all these like math credits and stuff like that in your mind doesn't really have shit to do with being a doctor, but it's one of those things that if you learn that base fundamental knowledge and craft it and hone it, it's going to make your overall success as a doctor better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I totally get it.
It's all wrestling. This guy just excelled in a different class than I did. You know what I mean? I feel like
listen, totally.
I feel like my kind of specialty to things is like you said, the hardcore stuff and being able to tell a great story with weapons. And that's something that, like, I've watched guys that are fucking great pro wrestlers, like, and I'm not going to name anybody because I'm not trying to shit on anyone, but I mean guys that are phenomenally talented wrestlers that once you put them in a situation with weapons, they were like, almost didn't know what to do besides bash each other in the back and stuff like that.
Well, I didn't
Jimmy
see
Lloyd,
it on this platform. Yep. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, but Jimmy Lloyd said something at X Brand a few months ago too. Like, it's our job as deathmatch guys to show people that we're more than just dudes that hit each other over the head with shit. You know what I mean? And I took that to heart because there's a lot of people, in the wrestling business that do matches like this that shit on what we do and don't take it serious. But with respect to Irving, you know what I'm saying? He was one of those guys that just realized, hey, like, his strong suit is not technically mat wrestling and stuff like that. So we're going to work around that, which we did.
Let me ask you then this question. I'm curious, would you like to do more of this in the future if you were granted the chance, or you feel that I'm just curious.
I mean, I probably will. Realistically, I probably will, because I know that I can do as far, you know what I'm saying? I might not be able to have 5-star Shawn Michaels bangers and shit, you know what I mean? Like some of these guys out here are able to do, but I know what I'm capable of, and I know if I'm in there with somebody good enough, I can have a good wrestling match with you. But
I don't even think everybody needs to have a Shawn Michaels 5-star match, because if you go out there and work to the best of your ability, and that may make a better match. Guys, I mean, I speak to people every day on this platform, and guys in different places, and trying to make. There's already one Shawn Michaels. You know what I'm saying? Why not be one deathmatch daddy Jesse Daniels? To me, that's my belief, is always that there's always somebody who did something, but it worked for them. It may not work for you. And I think that it's good to refreshing in a sense to hear that, what you're best at, but you work to those strengths. And I think that that's why people look to you, and you've had so many matches, and you're like, again, like a Tarzan, a professional wrestler, pretty much. And I think that's
And
what I see more or less. If that makes sense, as we're watching Irving
that
Legend versus the Death,
so
as I was saying. So yeah, so I go ahead.
no, that's just a heavy high compliment to me to even compare me to Tarzan, because I'll tell you a story. Earlier this year, I had like cracked one of my ribs at this Phoebus festival thing. I was wrestling in Phoebus, Virginia, and it was like 3 matches in one day for a little beer festival. And in the last match, I got hurt and got a concussion and cracked one of my ribs. Well, the next weekend, I had to wrestle Tarzan at this fucking 420 festival, and it was like an ounce of weed on a pole match, right? And in my mind, I'm like, dog, I know I'm hurt. I know I'm not going to be able to give my best, but like Tarzan's driving all the way down from fucking New Jersey, and I don't want to bitch out on this. So I did the match, you know what I'm saying? And it's not public on my channel because I'm just not, I personally am not happy with it. I don't think it was one of my best performances. But dog, I went 20 minutes with Tarzan with fucking basically broken ribs. And I've always the past few months I've been beating myself up over that, because I'm like, man, he deserved better than that. He deserved a better match. And he says, for what it was, he didn't have a problem with it. And he said he didn't have a problem working again. But mentally, as artists, especially as being that I'm not by nature an athlete, I'm more by nature a performer. I just critique myself very heavily about stuff like that. So just being compared to like, guys like Tarzan and being put over as like a professional wrestler, it's not something I'm used to be completely honest, because people.
Well, I think the reason I compare it to Tarzan, obviously it's 2 totally different styles, but it's in terms of the fact that you're always out there working. You're always out there somewhere doing something. I think that's what I see is very similar. There are guys that may call themselves wrestlers, but they're just doing it as a hobby. I see you doing it where you're wrestling very often, and Mr. Legend gets the victory here, but it's still a very hard fought contest. And I saw a lot of psychology, a lot of different things. Like you said, traditional type of match. And I think that it obviously shows that you can also wrestle guys like him, and it gives you opportunities to do different things. And I'm sure if the time arises, you'll get a chance to wrestle him again. But I think
oh yeah. The Chicago closer and me ain't done. He gonna get that smoke one more time.
Well, let me get to some comments. There's a few people that want to say hello. Zilla is kind of our resident chatter who wants to says the usual things to say hello. And yes, we say hello. My friend Tommy the Man Merriman out there from the great state of Indiana via Washington. Haven't heard from Tommy in a while. Want to say what's up to Tommy. How you doing, my friend? Hope to see you back on Sportswire very soon. A man that I know is a big fan of yours, Mr. Joshua Allen, likes to say Jesse with exclamation points. Love
what
Mr.
up,
Allen.
Josh? Old TBW. Shout out to them TBW boys. Y'all know I'm going to be out that bitch soon enough.
Oh, I love TBW. They know that. I know that. The world knows that. But
hey, yo, Tiny Titan and Jay Wild, I'm coming for y'all's ass. I'm coming for both of y'all's candy ass when I get out there for TBW. Let it be known here first on the Reverend Show. I'm coming for Jay Wild and Tiny Titan's ass. And it's going to be a blanket party, prison style, bitch.
Well, you should know that Jay Wild is certainly available, but Titan is no longer a hardcore king anymore. So you might get a rain check on him for his sake, but Jay Wild's still available.
Oh, well, if somebody shut Titan's ass up, then I'll just get the smoke with Jay Wild.
I think Jay Wild's the one that you would certainly get the smoke with, because Titan is pretty much, he's who knows what happened. But I do want to get to a couple of people, and I know one of them really wants to say hello, but I'll save that person in a few minutes. But Mackie Boy wants to say that you suck, but then he says, just kidding. He's just kidding now. He wants to say just kidding.
Oh, man, come on. See, I fell asleep on a couch in front of Mac 10 one time, and now he's telling me I suck.
Were you in the famous Mac 10 place where you fell asleep with the dog and such?
I was at Tibbs' place. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that wasn't Tibbs. Okay, that was
no. But I tell you this. I did watch Mac 10 like for a shoot about to beat somebody's ass one time, and me and Jimmy Controversy were kind of just standing back and staying out the way. But like, if somebody would have jumped on Mac, me and Jimmy already had this like conscious agreement we were gonna fuck him up. So, yeah, no, Mac's my boy, dog. I'll ride for Mac.
Well, he's
Hey,
here like
so
every other day on Sportswire. It's
so
but
I might have a treat for you guys. I'm actually uploading the footage that Hardcore just sent me of me and Mickey's match yesterday.
oh
And
shoot.
if I can get it to work, it's at 52% now. If I can get it to upload before my iPad dies, I'm gonna send Reverend Tom a link here, and we can have a live watch party right here if y'all want to do that.
Oh, absolutely. No, listen, definitely if there's a will and a way, I would definitely love that. And shout out to Hardcore. And I love Hardcore. I had Hardcore on here months ago. I have Will from Total Effing Chaos here in a couple of weeks. And anything you want to share. And by the way, this is our YouTube page for our friend, Mr. Jesse Daniels. Go please hit that sub button for him. Also, check him out in a couple of different ways here. I've got some Instagram links you can check him out on. I've got some merchandise I'll put up here in a few minutes. But while I change and make the hockey line change, anything you want to say about Hardcore? Because I know you've wrestled him, and he's definitely a favorite here on this platform.
Man, so Hardcore, right? There's actually there's a movie, right, that came out about Hardcore the first time that we wrestled. It's this filmmaker. It's called Sisyphus, I think. I don't know how to spell it.
Yeah, I think I heard something about that. Yeah, I think that was kind of like almost because he goes back into the wrestling scene, into the backyard like 20 plus years ago. He goes way back. He was I think I heard about that. Yes, I did.
So I wrestled him like 2 years ago for the first time at POR, and I was like, word, this guy was on XPW one time, and that was all I really knew about him. But we started doing some work together, man, and then the dude hit me up talking about, hey, man, I'm going to make a scissor bat for our match. I said, hold on, what? Yeah, and at this time, I was used to glass and barbed wire, like, the typical vanilla deathmatch shit that we all know. This motherfucker sends me a picture of a plastic bat with, like, scissors taped to it like this. And I'm like, dog, what? I'm not taking that. He's like, no, it's cool, dog. Because I'll tell you straight up, I'm the type of dude, if I think something's going to put me in the fucking hospital or, you know what I'm saying, like, and I can't go home to my kid, you know what I'm saying, you better be paying me some good money, dog, or I'm not taking it. But after that match, right, so we did the scissor bat spot, and that shit went like mini viral. I think it got like 100,000 plays or something on Instagram. Which that I've got stuff with a billion now, but that was my first big spot that like went crazy. Was that one with Hardcore?
I could see that. It was before Hardcore got the syringe needle put up through his lip with Jimmy Controversy.
Man, that's a great. And look, then the next time we worked at X Brand at Mania this past year, this son of a bitch is like, yeah, I got a bat with styrofoam and razor blades sticking out of it, like the fucking gig razor blades.
It's funny you said that because I think Mac mentioned, was it on or off the? I'm sure Mac will quote me on it, but he was talking about baseball bats with, I think, was it razor blades or barbed wire? I think something Mac mentioned something about that, and he was on there.
Yeah, being Hardcore, I guess, kind of have this continuous running joke now that every time we wrestle, he's going to bring a more absurd instrument for me to cut him with. And it's funny because I keep telling him, I'm like, dog, you're like, you don't have to mutilate yourself every time we wrestle. And he's like, nah, dog, just because you said that, now I'm gonna make shit for you to mutilate me with. And I hate hurting people. You know what I'm saying? That when you watch this match with Mickey, you might think I'm bullshitting when I say that because I fucked her up pretty good. But I don't like, you know what I'm saying, sending people home with permanent fucking scars, but I guess when you sign up for deathmatch wrestling, you know what you're doing. It's just, do you know how to work? Do you know how to, you know what I'm saying, can we bleed a little bit and have a good scrap and you still send me home to my fucking family? You feel me? Because it's at the end of the day, this is a business and we all still got to be able to continue doing it and make money.
It's like Tarzan said yesterday, you have to be able to put your life in your opponent's hands to trust them. So you have to have a trust system there. It's it's an interesting point that you also follow up on. And if you want to buy some merchandise, there's the link. Let's go and buy some merchandise. Let's support, obviously, the Deathmatch Daddy. You got a bunch of different things. You got t-shirts, you got stickers.
Yep, and that is all. So I do have some personal merch too that I like keep with me. That is all like made to order stuff. So anything you buy from there will be made and shipped directly to you. I never touch any of that stuff, but that's where you're going to find all my t-shirts and stuff like that. I do have I can pull it out for you right now. I've got some stickers and some charms that my new merch guy has been helping me get together. So if anybody wants to personally order you a little Funko Pop Deathmatch Daddy necklace charm, ain't it the cutest shit you ever seen?
You
Little
know,
camo
Funko
pants and
Pops have been
everything.
like the rage the last like 5 or 6 years. Funko Pops have been like just a really good thing. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely.
And I've also got Deathmatch Daddy car stickers. So
wow!
Like, if you're interested in any of, I got them in like 5 different colors too. If you're interested in any of that shit, man, hit up my social media.
I'm
Deathmatch
put
Daddy
that
Daniels on Instagram or Jesse Daniels on Facebook.
I'll take care of that. I'll definitely put that up. Yeah. So the stickers were always the rage. The car stickers were always fun. And Joey's here. Of course, Joseph Tibbs is here. He wants to say hi. Obviously, that's nice.
What up, Tibbs?
Say hello. And I have a feeling a few other people want to greet you as well. Want to say hello to my friend Andrew Clay, the Texas Hangman. Wants to say Deathmatch Daddy an exclamation point. So he wants to certainly say hello and jump into the conversation there. And we'll keep the merchandise link up here for another few minutes, and I have a feeling that you'll be greeted by a few other people. I'll certainly leave them out.
I feel like I'm teasing a big fucking interruption here. I feel like somebody's about to blindside me. You about to bring a guest on
I don't know anything about it. I would know nothing about it. It's not my platform, but I would say that I would ask you. So, how did it feel to beat Kato?
How did it feel to beat Kato?
Yeah. How did it feel to beat Kato?
Hold on real quick. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Well, I think we lost you there for a second.
Can you still hear me?
Did Kato try to interrupt your Wi-Fi?
No. I'm just trying to get this video process to send to y'all so you can watch it. But as far as Kato goes, man, here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I've had like a hand. I can count on one hand the amount of matches I've had this year that I feel like went absolutely perfect and were like some of my favorite. Mm-hmm. And Kato is definitely in that list of matches because me and that dude, I'm not even gonna lie, man. That was probably one of the gnarliest storytelling matches that I've had with anybody. And he took that fucking burning elbow so perfectly. They were just awesome people, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying, for a shoot. But if we're working, you know what I'm saying? Fuck Kato, fuck Naomi, and fuck all those goddamn redneck hillbillies down in Tennessee.
Well, I'm going to certainly say that I might have one hillbilly and one redneck with me right now who wanted to watch along with you because he obviously can't stand this Kato. And that would, of course, be the landlord of Sportzwire Radio.
What's up, Jesse?
How we doing, Mac? How we doing, McDonald?
Are we going to go to McDonald, really?
Really? McDonald is in the house, baby.
Long time no see, Mac 10. Did I just?
Shit.
About 30 minutes ago.
we are about to. After this, we're going to be doing.
For Anthony here.
After this, we're going to be doing the live watch along of me and Mickey from yesterday. I'm sending Tom the link right now.
Now, you know what made me really sad, Jesse?
What?
Is the firefighters were there for you and Kato's match, but they left before mine and Jesse's.
Well, damn it.
So what?
Yeah, this was honestly, bro, Mac, this was one of my fucking favorites. This was legitimately one of my favorite matches I think I've ever had.
Really? Wow.
And it just,
tell me why.
So the reason being, Kato's one of them dudes that just made it so easy to walk and talk. Like, my favorite thing that me and Mickey agree on, right, is like the best wrestling and the best death matches are the ones that you don't have to overanalyze and overplan. You know what I mean? And when you can just go out there and have fun with somebody and have your plunder and know what spots you're going to do with it, you know what I'm saying, and have a good seed of communication with the other person, it's fucking great. And that's how it was with Kato, man. Like, we did not talk about a whole lot of this. Let's just say that.
Did it help to the fact, because Kato, it's funny you said that, because Kato was talking a little bit on the air and off the air after, and he talked about his experience. Did it help that because of his experience, him being in it as long as that he has, that kind of also helped with the flow, and just you didn't have to say so much because, well, he's probably been in a lot of these situations, and it's for him as a veteran, he can kind of go. And he talked about there was something he said off the air. He talked about there's like 4 stages to planning a match. And he
Right.
basically explained you have to remember like the first part, really the last part. That's the most important part. The rest of it, you don't have to remember every part. Is that also rings true as to why this match was as good as it was for you with Kato because of those reasons?
100%. And the thing is too, like, this is where I believe the professional aspect of professional wrestling comes into play, right?
Mhm.
Because anybody, you can have any trained stuntman, you know what I'm saying? Because if you look into a lot of stunt training and professional wrestling training is very similar, but it's not the same thing. You can have any trained stuntman have a scripted list of moves that he's got to pull off and go out there and have him perfectly, execute that. It could happen. You know what I'm saying? But I believe the professional aspect comes in being able to handle yourself in an environment where things are not planned. You know what I mean? Being able to fill those gaps and know how to play to your audience in that meantime to feel them out and get what you need out of them. You know what I mean? And especially what I liked in me and Kato's case was this was definitely a heel versus babyface death match. They had a guy that they clearly hated, and they had a guy that they wanted to see win. And I think we played on that psychology really well, and it made things very easy for us. And that's probably my favorite thing about that.
On that aspect, though, Jesse, what's really funny is before Kato came down to Resi, he was a heel.
Right. And all it took was that one show to turn him into a babyface because they hated me so much, right?
Well, I think they're going to definitely hate you after what you just did to Jesse Daniels.
I mean,
they're definitely not going to like you.
At the end of the day, man, I can't say anything bad about Kato because he took everything I had to dish out. He took everything I had to dish out.
I see D'Angelo the Flame just jumped in and looked.
Oh yeah, the wild D'Angelo did appear during that match.
Yeah, I saw him jump in, and Kato's definitely taking a lot of what you're giving him punishment-wise. Let me ask you a different question while you're here, Mr. Daniels. I know Mac's here all the time, but Resurrection in that locker room, obviously a lot of young guys are in that locker room. A lot of guys, obviously, that might look upon to you. And I asked Kato this question because obviously Kato's a veteran. I know Mac is there as a veteran, but it's probably more different because he's kind of a regular there on that roster. But for you, for all the success and all the experience that you had, did guys in Resurrection want to talk to you about what they could do to help themselves go up, move up the ladder, do different things within a match? Did you find yourself in that locker room being asked anything that for guys to maybe take away from what you've done in your career so far? Anything like that from the locker room?
So I don't know if I would say like that because really it's one of them things where me and Jimmy kind of rode in together as a group. And they knew Jimmy from GTS, and some people knew me from POR and the match with JJ at that point. But I wouldn't say I think probably the past year is really where I've elevated to that next level as far as where I was. But I wouldn't say I'm exactly where I want to be yet. It's getting there though. But I'll say this. There were definitely people that came up to me that it was like a humbling experience. They're like, man, I've seen your shit. Like, I appreciate you coming all the way out here. And I live 12 and a half hours away from where Resurrection runs their shows. And to know that because the power of the internet, there's people that see our shit on the internet and see us like that. Just the way you fucking put me over so far today on this podcast is just humbling in itself. Because
I wanted to, because I honestly, it was funny because my day was kind of interesting before I got to my first show, and I might have wanted to have done my own light tubes to some people in the street, but that's a different conversation for a different time. I'm in New York City, so you can imagine. But
hey, no, trust me, man. I know up north get a little crazy.
Oh, it gets a little crazy, and I'm in quote
It's
unquote
cold up there. Them motherfuckers is in a bad mood
and
all
it's
the time.
also you have the people of New York City, and I'm in quote unquote supposedly one of the more middle to upper class neighborhoods. But different conversation for a different time. Let me ask you though a question. You said a couple things that are interesting while I'm watching the match, and I'm supposed to have had another surprise for you, but that surprise maybe is just starstruck from you. But you talked about like in the last year that you feel like that your maybe notoriety is increased. I always ask this question to guys that come on here then for the first time. What are your goals for the rest of the year? Like, what are your goals in terms of helping you get to further places you'd like to?
Well, I would like to be able to work somewhere internationally, even if it's just the UK.
Well,
I've
you're
gotten
in the
some,
right place because I know a lot of people in the UK.
I've gotten some offers from Ronnie Thatcher out that
Oh,
does
wait.
CCW. Yeah,
Wait,
I
time
know a
out.
few of them guys over
You
there.
know
I'd
Ronnie
very
Thatcher.
much.
So wait, I got to cut you off. You know Ronnie Thatcher. You know him. He's a very good friend of mine. I've known Ronnie Thatcher. What a small world. I've known him
The
probably for about 2.5 years. The gentleman.
the thug gentleman, you fucking cunt. Oh
The
yeah, I know
mug,
Ronnie.
the mug. Yes, Ronnie Thatcher, a man I have interviewed like 6 times. You know Ronnie Thatcher, boy. Interesting there. You know Ronnie CCW is definitely giving you a feeler. That's his company. Yes, the Colory Championship Wrestling. Yep, you would fit to a T in that product. Kind of like Resurrection, maybe a little bit more of a, let's say, a more regular base that goes to them because they're in a live venue. But you and Ronnie Thatcher would make a lot of sense. But I don't think Ronnie Thatcher could handle what you bring to the table. With all due respect to Ronnie,
Oh
Ronnie,
no, Ronnie's a bad motherfucker. He's a drinking, fighting son of a bitch, just like I am. I've had a couple conversations with him, and as soon as I can get a verified passport where I can get to the UK and we can like finance, like I don't care if I got to come out of pocket a little bit for it. Honestly, I don't, because that's something that I want to be able to add to my own resume that I wrestled overseas and did a death match, hardcore match with somebody overseas. Even if it's just that one time, bro. Even if I like to travel, man. I like seeing different places. I like going to Memphis and meeting these
their
guys.
setup. I got to be on because they have been big supporters of mine. I've known those guys for a long time. You would really feel at home there because their setup is, it's kind of like Resurrection. The only difference I would say is they're always in a live venue. They're in this like little bar and grill. It's like a really nice setup, and they have a really passionate following. I mean, they're like social media is like they're the only British, I would say, independent underground company that's like even worth. In fact, the country itself, and we're watching the match here finish, but the country itself, like a lot of the guys do not like them because of how successful they are. So you'd fit really in home, and they've actually had an American guy wrestle. They had an American guy wrestle there almost 2 years ago. A guy, Mitchell Taylor. He plays like a king. He's from Indiana. So you would definitely fit in there. I'll mention that. I'll mention that to those guys. What a small world. Yeah, Barris is looking for guys over there. Yep.
I tell you, one person in the UK that I'd love to fucking tie horns with is
Tell
Big
me
Lou
who.
Nixon.
Oh, okay. Yes, I definitely know that
Oh
name.
yeah, we hung out briefly for a few minutes WrestleMania weekend this year while he was in town and shit, and because I was hanging with like Mickey and all them that weekend too. But Lou's fucking cool as shit, dude. That's the deathmatch Conor McGregor right there. That's a bad motherfucker.
Yes.
Lou Nixon, like I tell you what, dog. If there's 10 bad motherfuckers in the entire pro wrestling business, 9 of them send Lou Nixon birthday cards.
Yeah, and there's very few in that country that are like in the deathmatch scene because it's kind of like it's like frowned upon there. It's very like they're like insular about it. So like there's just a handful of those guys. But yeah, Big Lou. Now that would be more like I love Ronnie dearly, but you and Big Lou would be more of like considering your name, like your stature, that would make a lot more sense if that makes sense to you.
Man, I appreciate that. That's honorable. So said fucking hit up your promoters and tell them you want fucking Deathmatch Daddy versus
I'll
Big
tell you
Lou
what,
Nixon when he comes back to the US.
I tell you what, because you have a surprise. I'm going to put it up shortly. I will tell you this because Barris spoke to me a few days ago. I will talk to him. I know what his stance is going to be. He's going to say, well, I would love to book him. I can't afford the flight, but I'll talk to him and I'll put this clip out to him and I'll tell him and see what he says there. Maybe you can bring Mac along with you to the UK.
We'll figure something out, dog. You get me in a ring with Big Lou Nixon, we'll fucking figure something out. I'll say that to any promoter right now, because I know that man travels thousands of miles to come over here from the UK. I know his time is very valuable while he's over here. If any of you motherfuckers will get me in a ring or a no ring death match, I don't care. You get me in a fucking fight with Lou Nixon, we'll figure something out. I promise. I'm not gonna hurt your pocket.
I have to ask you because
I'll do my damnedest to hurt his big ass.
I have to ask you this question. What a small world. You obviously mentioned Big Lou Nixon, and you also obviously Hardcore is a mutual friend of ours. There's another guy that I think you would do really well against that I'm friends with. His name is Radu Bulat. He's Mr. Vampire. I don't know if you know Hardcore. Ask Hardcore if you don't know him on the air here, off the air. Ask Hardcore about him. That would be another guy that you look kind of like him a little bit. He might be a little taller, but like that would be another guy. Pursuit Pro Wrestling. They're the owner is like big on TikTok because he puts like the reels out. He gets like a lot of like hits on the reels, but like that's another place where you would really you would do really well against Radu Bulat. That's a guy that like, he's like in that vein, hardcore death match.
You said his name is Radu Gula?
Bulat.
Okay.
Bulat. Yeah, I'll send it to you when we're off the air. I'll send you his Instagram.
Sweet. I'm going to walk outside for a minute, so you might not see me, but I promise I'm still here.
It's all good. I have comments. I'll let Max say hello in a minute. But also here, all right, I'm going to Waffle House. I have still not been to a Waffle House because I'm in New York City. I think we don't have
Bro, you ain't never been to a Waffle House?
I'm in New York City, man. We don't have Waffle House. I'm in the 5 boroughs. We don't have Walmart in New York City. We don't have Waffle House. We only recently got Chick-fil-A. It's not what you think it is. No, I answer your question. I don't have Waffle House.
Waffle House is like, okay, that's like my safe haven for anywhere I'm traveling in the South. I know I could pull into a Waffle House anywhere in the goddamn U.S. at any hour of the night, and there will be an angry motherfucker there, mad about having to work an overnight shift, but he's still going to do his job and serve me some coffee and hash browns, and I'm still going to tip his ass like he deserves.
Well, that sounds like I would like to meet a Waffle House place one of these days. But okay, let me put this.
It's great because it's also one of the last few restaurants in America that has a jukebox, so you can walk in with like $5 extra in your pocket in cash and listen to music the whole time you're in there.
That's pretty cool. That's really really cool. I think that's something that's up a lot of people's alleys here. Let me also get to a few more comments. Yes, Zilla, thank you for respecting Andrew Clay. And also, Josh wanted to quote you on that. All right. I think before I put something up, you want to say anything else, Mac? Because I have a surprise for the audience that Mr. Daniels has granted me authority to play. Anything you want to say, Mac, or anything? I'm waiting for one of our friends who was here earlier. I gave him the link, and I'm not quite sure. We're waiting for one of our friends, but I guess maybe he saw that Mr. Daniels had defeated him on the air, and he decided that he was going to maybe have a rain check. I don't know, but I guess we'll have to figure it out.
Jesse, the burn mark that was in my ring, you can't find it no more.
Why not?
Oh, thank God.
What happened to the burn mark then? What happened to
it? No, he caught the ring on fire.
Yeah, if you see back in that match with Kato, when I did the roaring flaming elbow to him, my elbow pad stayed burning when I threw it off. So, like, when I got up from covering him, I had to run over there and stomp it out because I knew the fire marshal was standing like 30 feet away.
Well, that's a good idea to make it change.
Yeah, and I thankfully we got it out, and he didn't say anything to us about it. But goddamn, that was a little fucking scary. I was like, I'm not trying to go to jail in Memphis for no fucking arson.
What stays in Memphis, I guess, stays in Memphis. But I think I got the right link now. Okay, so I'm going to put this up here on the screen. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to put this on pause. And I'm now going to be able to play something for the first time here. I want to thank Mr. Daniels. Actually, our friend Mr. Hardcore, because he helped us. And shout out to Hardcore. I don't know how he found the time, but world premiere, never seen at least on World Wide Web, YouTube, social media. We've got you and Mickey Knuckles. So, Jesse, tell us what we're about to see. And it looks like say his name, he appears. Where have you been, Kato? Where have you been?
Oh my God! I didn't push enter like an idiot.
Well, you've pressed enter and see Jesse Daniels here, and he's here.
Jesse, brother,
No.
much love and respect for you too, man. And we
He
still got
said I was like
unfinished
Joe
business.
Hendry. You say his name and he appears.
Pretty much. I had to
We
throw it in.
we
What up,
still got
Kato?
unfinished business, brother.
How you doing this evening, bro?
Oh man,
Speaking of all of us in here and the person that you're facing in this, you showing up to Carnage Cup, brother?
oh yeah.
That is still to be determined. I know for a fact right now I'm doing the Gathering of the Juggalos in 2 weeks. And
You know, I think Tarzan's doing that. He mentioned that also last night on the show. So you're going to be there with Tarzan, and is Brian White, I think, going to be there also? I thought I heard he was going to be there, if I'm not mistaken.
I know I'm going to be at the Gathering. I cannot say that I'm doing JCW, but I will tell you I'm definitely doing the JCW tryouts. So you may or may not see me. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But one place you definitely can see me at the Gathering of the Juggalos is doing the world's most dangerous stunt show on day 1 and day 4 with them boys at POR. You might see me beat the shit out of a couple of sergeants and cops that we all know very too well here.
Oh, yeah, the guy that just shared the link on X. Yes, yeah, I know who that is. Yeah. You know what that is.
Hey, by the way, I was actually gonna do last year's tryout, and then I got hurt. I sliced my hand wide open.
You better figure something out and pull up to this one here in a couple weeks.
Where's it at?
Thornville, Ohio, Legend Valley.
That ain't that far from here.
Yeah, it's really not, dog. If you can make the trip, I'll say
you know,
this.
Pondo, is Pondo gonna be there?
Yeah. Pondo's hosting the tryouts, bro. Me and you should wrestle each other for the fucking tryouts.
Whoa!
Fuck
You
yeah.
know, we're just making bread and business here on Sportswire. I mean, boy, what about
I'm just saying, dog. We should do it because I mean we had a banger. We like that's probably the best chance we have at getting on the show is wrestling each other at the tryout.
And
Well,
listen,
fuck
Kato,
yeah.
I'm sure you heard what Mr. Jason had to say. He said it was one of the best matches he's worked with, and we talked about reasons why. So, what better way to make an impression than have another banger? Literally.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to it, and like he was saying, you know, some of the best matches you can ever have is with somebody who knows how to work and tell a story, work the crowd, also continue working your match. And Jesse was one of those guys. I mean, dude, you fucking gave me some shit. I gave you some shit, and we fucking had a killer match.
And I don't know what something about like the thing that made it really easy with me and you that I really liked was the fact that we established who was the heel and who was the face early on, and we didn't have to work at it. We could just fight after that because everything. When you can get that established from the beginning, the rest of your job is so much easier. But if you go out there with all that shit up in the air and people don't know what the fuck they're seeing, then it's a lot harder for them to grasp it and know when to pop and what you don't want to confuse.
And
your
then they're
audience.
not interested in the match, and then they're not invested in what you guys are doing, and that obviously hurts the product and what you guys are trying to do, basically.
Exactly.
Well, exactly. And I think
we on here giving wrestling psychology lessons on Sportswire Radio.
But you know, that's
I mean,
on this platform. That's that's what we're known
I can
for.
say this. And Jesse, if you put on a banger like me and Kato did in front of Pondo at the last show we were at, then y'all most definitely get on the show.
Man, I hope so, man. See what you can do to get out there, Kato. I'd love to see you in a few weeks. I know me and Jimmy are definitely going out there, so I'll either wrestle you or I'll wrestle Jimmy. We'll see, one or the other.
I'll do some configuring out,
Right now, this is the live debut of the footage of me and Mickey. I just smacked her ass with a thumbtack bat.
A lot of people know Mickey Knuckles on social media. What kind of opponent is Mickey Knuckles for the audience?
Oh man, the easiest ever. The easiest ever. I mean, dog. She was so amazing. Like,
he's such a sweetheart.
The coolest that when I hear I'm working Mickey, it feels like a night off.
Wow. Okay. And what does she bring to the table that makes her such an easy opponent to work with? Is it just safety? Is it just her ability
And
to, grant
an
offense?
old school mentality, an old school mentality in the sense that I know that we don't. If she shows up 5 minutes before bell time and all we do is figure out a finish, we'll be fine. And it's also to the point that so she was trained by Tracy Smothers, definitely
Oh, of course.
one of
Yes.
Tracy's kids, and Dusty Rhodes had a little hand in her.
Oh, well.
And
top
so
there.
So the crazy comparison, right? When you saw that match with Irving Legend, so
Yes.
I blew up in like 5 minutes because we were wrestling indoors in air condition, and my cardio and my hydration was fucking terrible that day, right? So I blew up in like 5 minutes, and he's slapping rest holds on me and shit. And the reason that I did a few of the missteps that I did in that match is because of how blown up I was.
Okay.
Like not registering, not selling certain things for longer, that I should have because I was trying to rush through it and just get home, right? So the very next day, I wrestled Mickey in this match. And you can see on the length of the video, it's about 18 minutes long.
Yep.
I went 18 minutes outdoors in 100-degree weather, and she gave me a piece of chewing gum before the match, right? And said Dusty Rhodes told her this was fat people cardio. Like no bullshit. Gave me a piece of chewing gum and a little hydration liquid IV pack that I drank with my water. Dog, I went out there and went like almost 20 minutes with her and didn't even get blown up. And it was the very next day after I got blown up in 5 minutes. The difference that hydration and just knowing what you're doing makes, and also this match was more my style, my pace, and I didn't have,
which we talked about in the match with
hard,
Irving.
you know what I'm saying? Like I had to work hard to keep up with Irving.
Good point.
I do got to say that, Jesse, I do got to say this. So it was a while, a couple years since I actually started doing deathmatch. And I think you were my second one back. So
oh man,
to have that banger of a match and to keep going the way I am now, I mean, fuck. I'm back at I'm on Carnage Cup 14.
Dude, I'm so proud of you, man. And I want to do Carnage Cup right now. I know it's full, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see how it goes. Even if I don't make it this year, it's on my bucket list of shit to do. I know right now I've got a list of deathmatch tournaments that I'm going to be attending and not necessarily working or wrestling on, but I got a few list of tournaments I'm attending this coming up season, and we're gonna see what becomes of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna put any names out there or any of that, but I want to be as many places around this country doing death matches as long as my body will allow me to do it. And I want to make some money at it while I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because this shit is a business, and I love it. But at the end of the day, I got to be able to bring something home to my kids. And with Resurrection Pro Wrestling, dog, the money was right. They made sure I was took care of when I was out there. So I would recommend that place to any fucking worker that is interested in coming and working with up and coming talent and being on a platform that respects them as a worker. You know what I mean? Because
Amen.
That's what they did, and I appreciate Resi for that.
Amen to all that.
I think I gotta say this. The best part about Resurrection, when I got hooked up with Mac and Joey, was how cool everybody was with each other. How everybody took advice and didn't bitch, didn't fucking cry, didn't fight because they missed the spot. It's all about working together and actually learning from each other, and that's that type of environment that locker room gives.
Oh, Mickey bit my junk.
I've seen that
there, and I didn't want to comment, but I couldn't agree more about the Resurrection locker room. Well, a lot of the guys have been here, and they're all really hard workers, conduct themselves in a professional manner, very respectful, and I think that's why Resurrection continues to have the success. But right now, we are certainly seeing, Mr. Daniels, that you're not having so much success right now with Mickey Knuckles.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. That was like fighting a fucking coked up grizzly bear. That's been my second time. I wrestled Mickey. The first time I worked her was a no ring thing at XPW Theater of Brutality. That's the one and only time I worked for XPW, but I have it on my resume forever. And I wrestled Mickey, and I'm talking about, dog, when this chick says hit me like a man, that means she's gonna hit your motherfucking ass like a man. And I found that out.
You definitely hit her just there right now.
I found that out within 5 seconds of us wrestling our first time, because she slapped the dog shit out of me. It was safely, but I mean, enough to wake me up and be like, all right, it's time to go now. Let's go. And that's my favorite thing about working her, is I know I'm safe, but I know I'm going to be hit snug enough that I can sell it. You know what I mean?
It's a good point. It's a very good point there. Let me get to a couple more comments while we're watching the match. James Taylor would like to say hello. He was out there in Resurrection. He wants to say hello to everybody. He was there Saturday. Joshua Allen wants to say it was an honor to meet Kato and Naomi at the Revenge Rumble. Mac, well, you still suck. LOL. Just kidding.
I did eliminate you, so
You also eliminated your husband, so
sometimes you got to take a loss with
get in the middle of that discussion.
And then you eliminated yourself.
I'm not getting anywhere near that. I'm not,
because I'm better than all of the rest of them, and I wasn't going to let them eliminate me. I eliminated myself.
So on that note, Naomi, when it comes to Carnage Cup, you might want to watch out, because I just got some news that Obey's girl is cleared to wrestle.
I'll say, I think I'm getting my toes wet enough that I'll do what I got to do. Hold it down.
You drinking that Mountain Dew again?
I guarantee it.
I'm drinking Dr. Pepper.
That's my favorite.
Well, I used to be a big Mountain Dew drinker, but I've actually been going to iced tea lately for whatever reason.
I tried to hit her with that door, and it just disintegrated when I picked it up.
I was going to ask you about that.
It disintegrated like the stick that Kato used.
That bitch turned into a toothpick as soon as I picked it up.
Well, I wouldn't want to be the person that has to pick the door up afterwards, after the match.
I'm talking about it straight disintegrated into toothpicks. It was insane.
Well, if you
and there we go. Alley-oop, send her ass on inside. This is actually my first time seeing this version of the footage. I just threw it.
So what's that like for you? I never get a chance to ask guys this. All of you are all in the ring, Naomi as well. When you get a chance to watch a match for the first time, after, what's that like? What's that experience like, watching something back?
I love it, because it's like I'm doing my homework. I like to see, how I did certain things and how I can improve next time. And it's a lot of guys call it, tape study and stuff like that. But I watch other people's wrestling as well as my own, and see how, try to find people with similar styles to mine that I can sort of adapt my own shit to, because you don't want to ever be just like somebody else, but it's okay to take elements of other things that,
Absolutely.
It's okay to borrow pieces of things that fit your character. You know what I mean? You don't want to bite nothing from somebody.
I catch myself watching more of my tape than anything else.
Jesse, you said it good too, man. I always study my matches. I guess when you're in there, you're doing it, you don't think about it. Your adrenaline comes down, and you're like, man, I gotta see that match. It was badass. Oh, that fucking move was great. And then there's times where you're like, oh, well, I could have put that on a little bit differently. I could have put that rest hold on somewhat tightly. But to what you just said, Jesse, yeah. I mean, I always watch other matches too, study moves, and try to incorporate something similar but not the same.
Right. And I definitely, lately I've been favoring the spear a lot. I don't know why. Lately I've been favoring the shit out of just spearing people, and that didn't used to be my thing. Like back when I was really training and crafting my moveset, one of the things I did in training a lot was a bulldog. And I don't be seeing that a lot anymore. So it's definitely something I might start breaking out here, especially in death matches. I don't really see the bulldog a lot, but it's like you see and you think of certain moves, and you're like, all right, that's a baby face move, or that's a heel move. Like, you don't see a whole lot of heels that come off the top rope. You know what I mean?
No.
A lot of times it's baby faces that do those phenomenal athletic feats off the
'Cause
top
they're
rope.
trying to make the comeback. They're trying to hit the spot to get the people going to warm them up. Yep.
Right. And like I said, nothing's really set in stone because fucking Shane Mercer can be a heel and that motherfucker does a moonsault world's strongest slam off the top rope. You know what I mean? And he could be a heel doing that. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's big as a goddamn house. But, you know, beside the point, it's nothing is really set in stone, but there's always a lot of old-time general rules of thumb that have worked well for the veterans, you know what I'm saying? And it's cool that we're in a generation now where we can kind of play with some of that stuff, but it also messes with the regular psychological formula that a lot of fans are used to, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what type of viewer you are.
Sure, I think that, and there's obviously the viewers have totally different attention spans, but I mean, you've been battling. I think what's impressive to me is, you know, what you've talked about the day before is that you had basically been, you know, blown up and you had felt whatever you felt, but you came here in 100-degree weather and you're still going here 10 minutes plus in. I think that's really, it shows to the degree of what you could do as a performer. I mean, despite what you might have said, I think that gives you a lot of credit. I think just to be able to battle like you have here so far.
And always
I mean, like I said, I was just figuring, like, at that place R1W that I wrestled Irving Legend at, right? Like, shout out to R1W if any of you guys are watching this podcast. They are they're kind of I can't say they're a newer company. They're a rebranded company from the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. And they're kind of like out toward the 757 Virginia Beach sort of area. And I love the talent pool that they use. And I love the fact that they believe in people that everybody else doesn't believe in. And that's probably my favorite thing about R1W. And getting to get put in there with a guy that's had TV experience like that and get to wrestle him and you know, even have a match you can learn from where you mess one or two things up, but you learn from it. You know what I mean? Having that experience anywhere is solid, but just the difference in the two conditions, you know what I mean? Like I would think that I would blow up in 100-degree weather wrestling Mickey Knuckles outside. Oh, here comes that spear. Woo! There we go.
Boy, did that look heavy. That definitely looked heavy.
Yep. I think she actually hurt her hip on that TV when I speared her. We were trying to help her work that out later on. But so going back to what I was saying though, the conditions, you know, I would have thought that I was gonna blow up for the Mickey match, you know what I mean? But actually I blew up more wrestling Irvin indoors in the AC because he was just that good and I was that fucking out of shape. You know, like I'll tell you this right now, I'm not in great shape, guys, but you know what I'm saying, I know how to do what I do because I get paid to do it, you know what I mean? So I have to know how to fucking do it. And it's just I feel like lately I haven't delivered physically the best of myself as far as being in great shape, but I'm learning how to make do with what I have. And I'll tell you this, as soon as them motherfuckers at Gold's Gym let me back in, it's over for all y'all bitches.
Let me ask you one question here, because it's funny you say all these things. If you had any advice for any wrestlers watching this, I get a lot of people that watch this, whether it's on Instagram, other places, and the match is obviously over. Mickey had won the match, but what advice would you give to any prospective wrestlers out there?
Well, I'll say this. So I know you guys are doing this movement now, the All Wrestling Matters thing, right?
Yeah, it's been going on since the beginning of the year. Yep, talk to me. What do you got?
And that's I know that encompasses backyard, encompasses indie, encompasses
underground,
UK,
pro,
lucha, hardcore, deathmatch,
pretty much
strong style, fucking comedy wrestling. Because you're right, all wrestling matters. And I used to have this analogy, right? I used to say wrestling's like a buffet. Like, you don't walk up to the Golden Corral, and if you don't like mashed potatoes, you don't spit in somebody else's mashed potatoes. You just get your fucking roast beef and turkey, whatever the fuck you like, take it and eat it. And
that's what I was told as a kid growing up. Yep.
Right, but you don't spit in somebody else's food because it's not what you like. So I see a lot of people, a lot of old school guys in my area that kind of do that, and there's definitely classes and schools of people that I feel like are not being taught the vast umbrella of what professional wrestling is, and they're just being taught a small what I hate about, if I can rant, you're talking about giving advice to new people.
You can say anything you want, sir. You can say
I'm not trying to veer too much off subject, but it's all coming back around to the point.
You're welcome here. You can say whatever you want.
So my advice for new people would basically be just watch who you give your money to when you start off, if you're going to learn how to do this. Even if you decide you're going to break in a backyard or something like that, whatever case, like I would not encourage anybody to not get professional training, because my professional training came 10 plus years ago at Ground Zero Wrestling Academy with Earl Hebner, Dave McLeod, and Ethan Cross.
Wow.
And then I got sharpened up by Jason from the Grapple Vices and a couple of other guys along the way. I took some seminars with Ace Austin and a few other people.
Ace Austin wrestling a show for a friend of mine next month. Yep, sure, go ahead.
And I you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that just because I wrestle on backyard shows that I don't have credible training. I get more shit for wrestling on backyard shows than, you know what I mean? Like, there's places around here in my area in Virginia that will not use me because they know I do backyard stuff, and they think that's a bad look for their company, which I don't really give a shit either way. But at the end of the day, that's a decision that I know I make and I have to live with when I choose to do these shows. And I'm okay with that, because I get to be on platforms like this. I get to be in front of audiences like the people at POR and wrestle people like Mickey Knuckles that have been trained by Dusty Rhodes. Like, the path that I've made for myself in wrestling through doing these backyard shows and doing the hardcore stuff that a lot of people in the regular indie business don't appreciate and don't, look at as real wrestling. I am fine with that path because it's gotten me to where I'm at right now. And it's not, I don't believe this is the plateau for me. I definitely feel like I have higher aspirations of where I want to end up in doing this shit. But at the end of the day, I respect everybody that's done it before me. And I'm glad that I didn't just drink one person's Kool-Aid or just go to one school or just learn from one person. Because there's a lot of people right now in my area and areas all over the country that are paying money to trainers that are not teaching them the full spectrum of professional wrestling and all the possibilities of what you can do. They're teaching them their way. They're teaching them the way they were taught. So basically, just make sure you have credible training at some point. Even if you start off in a backyard, even if you choose to continue doing backyard shows as your training, which a lot of schools will shit on it, but I don't care. If you love what you're doing and you're not showing up to training fucking hurt, I don't care. You know what I mean? But my point in the matter is just make sure the people that you're paying to teach you this shit know what the fuck they're doing and actually have your best interest in mind.
I think that's valid. You want to say something, Cato? Something you wanted to add? I could see you motioning there.
Yeah, Jesse that's smartest shit. I say it to my people that I train or that I did train. You always want to learn and learn and learn from many people. I mean, I had 3 basic trainers, but I've learned through countless of hundreds of wrestlers, different styles of holds, different techniques of hitting the ropes. And I think nowadays the trainers stick to their particular shit they got trained, so they don't give an opportunity to show other shit. Or, hey, you can do this, but this is the way I'm teaching you, but you can also hit the ropes this way, or you can take a body slam this way. And I think a lot of the trainers nowadays just don't give a fuck. They just want to get that money and teach you their way only.
Yeah, I've heard stories here. Guys come on this platform. James Taylor said years ago, he went to a trainer and it's like a couple $1,000 basically got ripped off. Other guys have come on here and, it's what it is. I mean, I think it's always refreshing to hear guys like yourself that have been, respected and have, done it. And that's why I always like to ask that question. There's always somebody here that watches these shows and, might want an opinion on that. And we hear for a little while longer here with Mr. Jesse Daniels, the Deathmatch Daddy, Cato and Naomi, Cato the controversial one, and Mac 10, who are back for a second serving here tonight. And Mac is the landlord of Sportswire Radio. He is doing something there. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not going to ask him. I don't want to get in his. Oh, you're having a yoo-hoo there. A yoo-hoo.
Oh, I
boy.
thought we were doing the same thing here. I was about to roll a blunt and
You can
get
roll
into,
the blunt. He's
get
having
into
a
another.
yoo-hoo. Oh,
Hey,
I see.
Jesse, here you go, brother.
Oh, I see.
She's
Good.
got the pen and I got the edibles.
You guys
I
come
work
prepared. That's what's.
I
so
work at a dispensary now, so it does kind of help.
Oh, congratulations! Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a wonderful job.
I think is Anthony working at one too, Mac, or am I getting him confused with somewhere else? So
He
is
works at a
doing
vape
well?
shop.
Oh, close enough, right? Close enough. What do I know, right? But where is Anthony right now? Where is he?
He's just got home.
Oh, he's at home. Oh, okay, that's why we don't have Anthony here, link-wise. Okay, good enough here. And also, Joseph Tibbs wants to say he's grabbing his pen now because he saw you guys.
Yeah, that's right, baby. That's right. Y'all know what time it is. We're getting ready to kick up to midnight. And I don't know about y'all, man, but I'm feeling good. I got my phone here on the charger. If y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about or any more questions,
yeah, I got a couple things I want to go over
bit.
before we sign off for the evening. I want to get to Josh first. I guess that makes me and Jesse Dr. Pepper brothers. You know, I have to ask you two things. I think I have to ask you about two things. Thank you for the Dr. Pepper. JJ Escobar, I have to ask you about that. I don't think I can play the match on the screen, but you know I can't let you get out of here without you talking about JJ Escobar. You know I
mean, I wouldn't be opposed to you playing it, but I'll just say this.
I would prefer not to because I think YouTube will probably like kick my video off, and I'm like trying to get to 1,000 subs on YouTube, so I'm gonna play it safe. And I'm also on Facebook. I'm monetized now on Facebook, so I'm really gonna play it safe and say I'll ask you about the match.
Totally fair. So I'll tell you this: I have me and JJ Escobar go a couple of years back at this point. I met him I met him in 2019 at the Gathering of the Juggalos in Springville, Indiana.
Okay.
And he was doing the stunt show, right? So literally, guys, I'm walking around tripping balls on acid and mushrooms at like 2:00 in the morning. No. It's like this was like 2:00 in the day. It was hot outside, right? And we just walked down this gigantic fucking hill that we're dreading having to go back up. So like we want to see and do something cool while we're at the bottom of this fucking hill, right? And I look over on this stage and there is a fellow getting a weed whacker shoved in it, like he's getting his butthole weed whacked, dog. And I'm tripping nuts watching the guy take a weed whacker to the butthole. to the bare asshole on stage in front of all these people, and I'm like, I gotta see what the fuck this is about.
I definitely
realized that, hey, I'm friends with these people on Facebook. So that was how me and JJ met. And when I started getting back into wrestling as a full-time worker, I was like, yo, I gotta cross this guy off my list. He's fucking crazy. So I was working with a dude at the time that rented me a fucking steel cage, and I ran a murder sports show at my house, called it Prison of War, and I booked like 8 fucking cage matches and took like some of my favorite like underdog wrestlers from around here that I loved and respected, and had them come work in the fucking cage, and it was a lot of people's first cage match that day. So I was that's something I'm really happy and proud of that I can hang my hat on.
And obviously everyone talks about that match for different reasons. That's certainly a man that I'm sure we'll hear more about with different guests that come on. But I also wanted to ask you about Pitbull Gary Wolf. I know Jimmy wrestled him, Jimmy Controversy, and I have to ask you about the one and only Pitbull Gary Wolf.
So, all right, I'll tell you a cool thing, a couple cool things about Gary, and I'll tell you a funny way that I believe he ribbed me, but this is what I'll chalk it up to, right? So,
okay.
My first time, I'm gonna be honest, I knew about the Pit Bulls, but my first time hearing about Pitbull Gary Wolf doing single stuff was on the GTS video where like Dilf ripped a bunch of people out of money. And And he was wrestling Gary Wolf that night, and Gary was like the only guy that got paid or whatever. So that was my first time, real like okay, this guy's out on doing single shit on the indies. I might run into him one day. So I start working with my buddy that does X Brand, and fucking So the promoter kind of ribbed me by keeping it a surprise from me until they announced it. And then he drops this fucking flyer. I was in a feud with this guy at the time, Biggie Sanchez, who has a stable, La Familia. And he drops this fucking flyer at the time. There was me and Gary Wolf versus the La Familia. And I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, I'm tagging with a fucking ECW legend, right? So the match was supposed to go where I had this fucking gimmick fake money in my bag, and he was supposed to turn on me at the end and like take a payoff from La Familia. So he wanted me to like shoot him off, and then he was gonna reverse me and give me an elbow, to bump me. And so he tells me in the back, when we're discussing, he's like, all right, I'm gonna shoot you off, kid, and I'm gonna give you an elbow. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a snug Japanese elbow, so I hope you're ready for it. So I'm thinking like, yo, this motherfucker's going to knock me out. And dog, Gary Wolf, to anybody that has like not been around him lately or seen him, for a dude at his age, he is in phenomenal fucking shape.
Yeah, I when Jimmy was here the first time, I asked him about wrestling Gary Wolf. I definitely brought that up.
I mean, he looks good. He's probably, beat up from years of doing the shit, but like his body looks good, man. Like Gary looks good. So I was thinking, I'm thinking like I'm putting myself in the mindset like I'm working Mickey or somebody like that. Like this motherfucker's about to knock the shit out of me. And he shoots me off, goes to give me that elbow. It was the fucking smoothest, cleanest, but like it was great. He wasn't trying to hurt me at all. So I think he was fucking with me a little bit. I think Gary was fucking with me. But I had to wrestle Peter Be Beautiful the next day in a like a fire, forks, and fuckery death match.
Yep.
And him and Peter actually stayed in the same hotel that night. So they talked about it, and they seemed to Gary seemed to be pleased with the performance from what I was told. So I'm happy with that.
That's always good to know. I want to ask you two more questions, and I'll let obviously Cato and Mac and say a few things before we sign off. Nathan Mowry, that video everybody talks about. I have to ask you about that.
Which part about it?
Anything you want to share that's allowed on the air for the audience.
So Nathan Mowry is, as I've said before, Nathan is one of the top 10 coolest people I've ever met. And I mean that in the sense of like, Nathan is probably one of the, all right, when I say coolest people, I mean, the first time we stayed at his house, like, dog, I was there, like, it was me and two other wrestlers, and he just left us alone there with, like, his old lady and his roommates, which, dog, we could have been total savages and serial killers and robbers, you know what I mean? Like, straight up. And I just, when I, like, dude, if you see the walls of memorabilia on this guy's fucking walls, like, if somebody, all I'm saying is, Nathan's a fucking killbilly for a reason, and he's got a lot of shit to protect that he'll shoot your ass over. Like a lot of plaques on his fucking walls from Chris Jericho and shit like that. Like he's got one of the coolest houses I've ever stayed in, and he was one of the most fun people I've ever been able to work because he's got good tutelage from fucking legends of the business that know what they're doing.
My goodness, we're talking Sting, DDP, Jericho, Buff Bagwell. It's like that's like the Mount Rushmores. You're talking about guys that like were like superstars are still on the Mount Rushmore. I mean, Jericho's still going. Sting just ended his career. DDP looks better now than he did in his heyday. I don't know how he does. He's got to be like 70 almost. The dude looks like he's got like no ounces. Exactly. He looks like he's in fantastic shape. And good deal. Okay, Mr. Tibbs wanted to tell you that we do have a show coming up next month.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information on that, Jesse. It's the 31st.
So I believe I am booked for X Brand that day on the 31st. I did see the flyer for that day. So I got to see what they announced me for X Brand, but I have made a promise to Mr. Tibbs and to you, Mr. Cato, that I'll be back out there. So you can settle your little score with me in front of those little hillbillies that you seem to care about their fucking opinion so much. Because we all know that I whooped your ass and threw your old lady into your nutsack after everything was over. And then I took my happy bloody ass to fucking Waffle House, and they looked at me and Jimmy and said, "Did you guys just get into a fight?" And we said, "Yes, bitch. Now bring me more coffee."
Hold on, Kato. Tell Jesse what the hospital said about me when we went to the hospital.
Oh my God.
Should we say it on the air? We are on the air live. I would say if we don't have to say it, we can say it off the air if we are on the air.
We already told this story. We'll tell it later.
Okay, good. I think that's probably the best advice considering how things go here. Also, Josh wanted to say, well, that's a new way to shave when it came to the Escobar spot. Yes, definitely a new way to shave. We'll leave it at that. Let me ask you before I let everybody go, where can we see you next? Anywhere else, Mr. Daniels, that you're wrestling before X-Brand on the 31st? I know we talked about this past weekend. Is there anywhere else I can plug that people can get a chance to see you wrestle at, or just stay tuned to Instagram?
Okay, so I've got in the next couple weeks, I do have 3 appearances coming up. One of them is like an autograph signing. Okay, so August 6th at I believe it's the United Methodist Church in Richmond, Virginia. I'm going to be doing this appearance for it's a new startup company that some of Bruiser Graham and Jimmy Valiant students have like started up. It's called CCWA. And I'm going to be doing an appearance, autograph signing for them. And then August 10th, I'll be back at R1W Round 1 Wrestling to do another match, the same place I wrestled Irving Legend. And then I believe August 11th, the next day, we'll be back at POR. So my next set of shows is going to be another doubleheader weekend like I had this past weekend. August 10th, I don't know who I'm wrestling. August 11th, I believe I'm in a tag match August 11th at POR, but stay tuned for that and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And also, please hit the sub button for Jesse's YouTube page. You can watch the Mickey Knuckles match. You can see the Peter Be Beautiful there. You can see so many other great matches. Kato's match has got almost 1,000 views on there. So sorry about that, Kato. Almost 1,000 people.
Oh, and I also want to plug August 25th, TCW Moment of Truth in Fredericksburg, Virginia. That's going to be fucking dope as fuck. We're going to love TCW because that's one of the places that when I started up that really gave me a good like upstart that was doing backyard shows. So as far as if you want to get another group of guys to interview, I can definitely direct you to some of these TCW guys because they're
whatever you say. Whatever you say, sir. You're the deathmatch daddy. You tell me. I don't want to be put in light tubes. I don't want to be put with lawnmowers up my butt like JJ Escobar. I don't want to have.
Oh shit, dude! I'm gonna have. Hey, you might have just came up with some shit, dog. You might have just came up with some shit.
I get told that every night I'm on this platform, so I maybe or maybe not appreciate that. But yeah, whatever you tell me, I'm gonna do. So, you tell me to jump, I'll say how high.
Hey, brother. Well,
I won't get high.
I know you're trying to close things out. I just want to give you your flowers, man. This has been a phenomenal interview. I love that you do your homework so much on everybody. Legit. This is like in my probably top 3 favorite interviews I've ever done.
I appreciate that because I get that a lot, and really because I just want to say, obviously, I'm so kind that Kato and Mac. Well, Mac's my landlord, so Mac's always here. But it's always nice to hear when people like you say because you and like Tarzan do this all the time. It's like the guys ask you, but like I always say, it's like different here because I get like like a recommendation for like people to come here. So I always feel like it's like I was telling you off there. I really at this point like don't ask people to come on because it's kind of like there's just a word of mouth.
Dude, it's an honor. It's like I've seen your show. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't like extremely well versed, but I have seen your show phenomenally like a lot before. A lot of the TBW guys I've watched on there.
Yeah.
I'm homies with some of them. I appreciate their grind, their hustle.
They're very good friends
of their show.
They're very good friends.
But yeah, dog, like in my opinion, you're a legend, dog. The legendary Reverend Tom Price, and I'm honored that you fucking had me on here today, brother. I'd be back anytime you'd like to have me.
Well, you tell me. You're busy. I'll bring you back every month. I mean, they're here all the time. So, I mean, if you ask when they're here, I'll just send you the link because they'll be here very soon. Again, I have no doubt about
Well, I'll say this, man. I travel, and I'm usually gone during the weekends on the road wrestling somewhere. But during the week, after I put my daughter to bed, I'm usually pretty good to hop on a podcast.
Yeah,
and
they're
talk some
usually
shit.
here. Yeah, I definitely would be more than happy to bring you whatever you need. Definitely whatever Obviously, I have Will from Total Effing Chaos. I think next, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So I'm sure.
Good
I'll
old high pitch Will.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine on Instagram that connected, even though I know Hardcore, but she's like, you got to interview him. I'm like, yeah, I know Hardcore already. He knows who I am. We follow each other. But he was like, very, very complimentary.
Bro, I had Hardcore and high pitch Will and like a bunch of POR dudes booked for this crazy no ring show in Richmond. And we lost our venue within like a week of the fucking show. And I had to cancel it. And that was actually when I wound up wrestling at the Phoebus Festival the day that I got hurt.
Oh, wow.
We were supposed to have my show that day, and then I wound up catching another booking when my show fell through and wound up wrestling 3 times that day and getting a fucking concussion.
It's crazy. POR, the following. It's like 30,000 plus subs on YouTube. It's like you guys are like just stratosphere almost. It's just kind of wild. I think Tarzan and I were talking about that yesterday. Just the following that you guys have.
Their original stunt channel before it got taken down, it had over 1 million fucking followers on that bitch, and I think they had all their videos from Tosh and all that stuff because POR stunts was like a huge thing before POR wrestling was ever a thing, and it's one of those things where like you just got to put your stock in with people you believe in, and we happened to get like really close and really well knitted before those guys took off in the wrestling community because like a lot of times it was guys that honestly they took me on board actually after they had John Wayne Murdoch and all them guys show up. So really I have them to thank for a lot of the recent notoriety and just like faces in the deathmatch community I've been in front of. But it's also been like it's been because of them, I've gotten to go so many other places and meet so many other promoters. And it's just the respect that, years ago, like the guys that I talked to around here in the local business, the local promotions. And when I say local, I mean local because they don't travel and people don't know who they are. They shit on POR and everything they do like it's yard tard garbage and yada yada.
Dude,
yada.
I look at it like 30,500 subscribers. I don't understand.
Exactly. And you people don't have the number 30,000 in the algorithm of anything your business does. And you're talking shit about these people that have literally rebuilt their YouTube channel for the second time and have multiple videos with millions of fucking views on them. And you can sit here and shit talk that like you're so much greater. And
people, they just, unfortunately, there's so many haters out there. People to me, I look at it and say, thank you for all that you do for us, POR. And, I hope more people, eyes to the prize. And if you want to hit the sub button for them, hit the sub button for them. You're going to see Jesse Daniels there in action, so many other people. And I think I've got to the point for most of it. For you, Kato and Mackie, you want to say anything else before we say sayonara? Anything else you guys want to say?
Jesse, I gotta get my ass out by you soon.
do what?
I gotta bring my ass out by you soon and work some of them shows with you.
Oh, dude, if you can either, I might be able to talk about maybe getting you something at POR, or if you can get a VA wrestling license, I definitely have a couple shows out here I can get you on. You know what I'm saying? If you're willing to travel all this way, I will break my neck and put whatever sacrifice I have to make to get you booked somewhere. If you're willing to make that travel, I'll do it.
Most definitely, brother. Most definitely.
And Joseph wanted to say, what about the surprise?
The surprise was the match with Mickey.
Yes.
Oh, dun-dun-dun. Drum roll, please. Dun-dun-dun. That was the surprise. So that was, I guess.
No, Jesse.
What's up?
The
man?
only reason you started doing the spear is because you caught it off of denim. I told you his spear is contagious.
His spear is contagious.
And Joe said, my bad. He just said, my bad. I think that's okay, Mr. Tip. Everybody gets a mulligan once in a while. Well, if you want to follow these guys, you can do that here. Also, Resurrection Pro Wrestling. Please give them a follow. They're on YouTube.
Hell yeah, dude. I love all them dudes. And
Oh,
Denim's the shit. I love Denim.
I love that. And I want people to follow Jesse. You can follow him here on Instagram, Facebook, his website, buy some merchandise, support those that support us. And I just want to say, really, to all three of you, I know they're here all the time, but I just want to say thank you for all that you do for us here, Mr. Daniels, especially for this sport. I think
Thank
as
you
the,
guys, man. Y'all
no,
make it
truly,
possible for us to do it.
and I just want to say how much it means because guys like you do it for the true love of this sport. You literally, figuratively, and literally each and every time put your blood, sweat, and tears out there. And I can't say enough how much it means to me on a personal level. I know that people listen to my shows each and every night, and I can attest that it means a lot to them. And I just really want to say thank you, and that you're always welcomed anytime here, and anything I
Thank
can
you, man,
do,
for real.
it's for any assistance I could be. It doesn't even matter about anything. I'm more than happy to help. Guys know I'm open for DMs anytime. I'm here, whatever I can do. And I just like to say thank you for your time and your efforts. And I just,
Thank you, man. For real. This is honestly one of the most humbling shows I've ever been on. To be completely honest, like, nah, man, you think way too highly of me. I'm gonna be honest with you. You think way too highly of me, brother.
No. Trust me, that's not true. That's only when Silver Wolf's on, we're not so humble. But the rest of the shows we're very humble. But boy, somebody got that here. But I think obviously let's go out and support those that support us. Mr. Daniels is welcome anytime. You're going to see him in action coming up at a number of different places throughout the month of August. Go to his Instagram page, hit that sub button for YouTube to watch the Mickey Knuckles match plus other matches. Mac 10 and Cato, they'll definitely be. We're going to see them obviously at the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Tournament. I know we're going to see them before the 24th here as well. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally. We're All Wrestling Matters. If you're on YouTube out there, please hit the sub button for me. I'm at Sportswire Radio 6579. I'm at Sportswire Radio. I have an internet radio station which we're simulcasting on. So if you're anybody's out there, you want to be heard, you can do that free of charge. I give people the opportunity to get their chance to be heard with a podcast, whatever it is. Also, if you are on YouTube and Twitch and LinkedIn and everywhere else, I'm here tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Jason Sturm, Mac 10, a man you actually know a little bit about. You actually know him a little bit, so you might want to tune into that one. And you'll, I'm sure, have a few things to say on that. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I hope you have the rest of the day. Enjoy it. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio station, that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. And I want to thank the controversial one, Cato, the Resurrection Wrestling Hardcore Champion, and Naomi and Mac 10, the Deathmatch Werewolf, the landlord of Sportswire Radio, and the one and only legendary Deathmatch Daddy, Mr. Jesse Daniels himself. And I'll see everybody tomorrow here on Sportswire Radio. Good night, everybody. Have a great night.
Peace.
In the Middle East.
Hit the off button.
It's trying. It's loading. It's not loading.
Well, we're still on the air. Yeah.
Okay, well, Anthony.
Party.
Unfortunately, it loaded. It should be any minute.
Loaded.
It's not. There it is. And now I'm going to end the stream.